April 8th, 2026. It is Wednesday. Just had a hockey game yesterday. Finals of the playoffs that we weren't in. We were first place, and we lost the first game, and so we got kicked out in the consolation bracket for third place, and we lost that one. So anyway, didn't go too well, but we fought hard, whatever. And I digress. So what we're doing today, we're talking about relationships, and we are going to talk about the power dynamics and how you better improve yourself or whatever, just improve your outcomes, right? Understand them better, and as together, maybe some other people have ideas, but these are mine. I have 50 years of best practices, very heavy knowledge and reading. I mean, I've read these books over and over. Evolution of Desire, I've said. Evolution of Desire by Dr. David Buss, Sperm Wars, 48 Laws of Power, Rational Male, Religion by Rollo Tomassi, The Player's Handbook by Rollo Tomassi. I'm just thinking of some Why Women Have Sex by Dr. David Buss. These are books that but I've read so many more. And The Ape That Understood the Universe. These are kind of give you a, so if you're going to come at me, you might want to read those about, at least 10 times each, because I'll get you on the facts. So anyway, but so in my, observance, right, of these things, I believe, be the alpha bang guy, be the sexually, in this environment we're in now, women no longer need a beta male provider, and women never respect that guy. We've talked about this over. And what am I doing? I'm using criminal cases to do this. And what case are we using today? Well, this case comes from somewhere just east of where I'm at right now, is in Baytown. I'm in Houston, Texas. Baytown's just east. I-10's over here. That's just a little north of my location. And you just head east on it. About 15, 20 minutes, and you're in Baytown. It looked that nice little. It's grown, considerable municipal department, and it's in Chambers County. What happened was that a lot of people don't know is Hurricane Harvey was really bad. I was a police officer at the time. It was really bad here in Houston. We took on a lot of rain. That's what it was. It was steady rain. That's what I guess the biggest issue was in Harvey. There was tons of flooding, especially on the west side of town. We have reservoirs over there, and the houses are built like in the reservoir floodplain area. That's a big controversy. A lot of people don't know about it. People don't even know their houses are in a reservoir area. And so, it flooded everything. And so the reservoir actually overflowed. And a friend of mine had her apartment was she was on the 5th floor up to the 4th floor. That's how high the water was. So, it was bad. So, anyway, so this case is a Steve McDougall, Crystal McDougall case, and Crystal McDougall ends up becoming the victim, and Steve McDougall is her husband of 10 years. See, they got 2 kids together. He has an older daughter by another wife, and they were married 10 years. Now, in this power dynamic, Crystal McDougall is a very attractive lady. Steve McDougall, whatever, you can say, not the special average dude, he I believe he hit above his weight, weight class, well, when you do that, both men and women, if the woman's hitting above her weight class, she's got to do extra. You got to do extra. This is what it is, right? If men do it, we got to do extra, so you got to overcompensate for that, right? Anyway, so what happens is they're getting divorced, okay? And what happens when women are getting divorced? They started another relationship. So, not no shade on her, but this is what happens, gentlemen. You need to connect the dots. You need to look at the patterns I'm throwing your way. If your wife is asking for a divorce, or we might need to separate, or we might need to go to marriage counseling. Number one, she's doing the marriage counseling. I'm just saying, on average, don't do it. It's not going to work. Number two is, if she's saying that, she's probably already checked out. Not always, right? If your wife is genuinely going to try to work on it, but they're rarely successful. And it's not anything in the therapist's fault. It's just that if someone doesn't desire you, you can't talk them into desiring you. You can't negotiate for it. We talked about that. But a woman will say they want to go to marriage counseling because that plausible deniability. What we talk about, image control, reputation control. And when their friends say, what happened with your marriage? Oh, it just grew apart, something like that, or he cheated. So they're going to say something like that, and then they're going to say, we tried everything. I tried to get to marriage. I got him into marriage counseling, and we just tried, and it wasn't working. He wasn't connecting with the counselor. Whatever. They're going to make it your fault. So, and this is, again, not to draw a moral, they're bad. No, this is just what happens. Just know it, know the game, and act accordingly. So anyway, Steve McDougall seems to kind of be a goofy, kind of weak, and I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just that, and a man, whether you want to, a lot of people, if you say men need to be strong, men need to be badasses, and people go, that's not like caveman stuff. Well, if you're gonna get your feelings hurt, then hey, Poindexter, you ain't that guy, so don't worry about it. Go get your ass kicked. No, women love strong men. Women love strong men that confidence is calm, that aren't displaying it everywhere. That's just when they walk into a room, people are like, whoa, this guy means business. I remember when I was in the police academy, first day, sergeant walks in, and he had probably a little performative, but he walked in that room, he had his stuff, pressed straight, squared away, and he's looking at everybody, just eyeing everybody, like, looked like he wants to kill us, right? Like I said, I say that because he had a presence. I said, whoa, this guy, and he wants to do it because of your cadets, and you're like, yes, sir. But it worked. So yeah, have that, what they call command presence, right? And but Steve McDougall didn't seem to be that. They seemed to know that he probably hit above his weight class, right? And they said he had a passionate, like, obsessive love for his wife, right? No, he had probably a unhealthy attachment to her to a certain degree, and she was a validation for his insecurities. All his insecurities were validated, and I've been in those. Absolutely beautiful chick. I met just walking up to her when I was at work, and anyway, it worked out, and she was absolutely beautiful. Now, didn't work out after that because, like I said, she was hot, but I had to do extra, and she was out partying, whatever, while I was at work, and that didn't work out. And then, so my point is, not that she's a bad person, it just didn't work out, right? And yeah, I forgot where I was going with that. I'll keep going, but anyway, yeah. Anyway, goddamn. Oh yeah. So my point is, I used to walk next to her, right? And I'm like, I like to look at people looking at me, then looking at her, going, look at that loser. No, I'm not, but it was, I got validated for it. I shouldn't have needed that, because yeah, she was a beautiful Hispanic girl, tall, 5'7", my height, and she, I was like, yeah, they know she's with me. That was dumb. And so when it broke off, when you derive your happiness or your validation or your sense of identity to another person or another thing, that's why I say stoics, you need to go inward, right? Because you never leave yourself, but external things will always leave you. So if that's where your happiness, if that's where your healthiness of your mind is, then it'll eventually leave and you're going to be left empty, right? So that's why you don't attach yourself to external things, right? So it seems like Steve McDougall kind of did that, right, to his wife. And, and beta males do that. They do that, right? He probably charmed her, and she seemed to be like an orphan type. She didn't have a mom and a dad. I don't know what the story was there. And she grew up with her uncle, who was kind of a nerd weirdo. And we'll talk about more about him in a minute. But, nice guy. He's just kind of socially awkward. And I don't mean that in a bad way, just way to describe him. And, but he loved her. And, and I think, in my opinion, I don't have, all the inside details of Baytown or Chambers County, but to me, they kind of treated him badly, yeah, you got to consider everybody a suspect, but they didn't like his behavior because it was a little weird, and it was a little what do you call it, like just overboard, right? It's kind of too concerned about the investigation and too involved in the investigation, and he got like a private investigator, and they didn't like that, and so now they kind of like, he's a person of interest, he might have done this, and it really was just they didn't like his personality, and so, but he had no connection to, and he loved her very much, she texted him every morning, so I don't know, that was kind of weird that they did that. And they also, they also, her new boyfriend was also a suspect, considered a suspect at one point, or person of interest, what do you want to talk. And I thought that was ill-advised because, because why would he do it? Because he's, I mean, the reason the murder happens is because she was at his house all night, having a good time, having sex all night, and she leaves at 7 a.m. So I wouldn't think that the new boyfriend, he was in love with her, so why would he give a damn? He's getting the goods, why would he kill her? He wouldn't. But the guy that's getting, his marriage separated, and getting divorced, when his wife initiated it, and they've been married 10 years, his family's being split up, and he's a house husband, and he's going to kind of lose a little bit of his lifestyle. Yeah, that guy probably had motive, right? But one thing they said, one of the sheriffs says of Chambers County, he says, yeah, the guy, he had video and of her at his house, and and he's on a news channel because he's trying to put the word out there to help find her, and legitimately. And he says, yeah, this is the last place they saw her. This is her, if y'all see her, blah, blah, blah. Above board. And, but he didn't share that with the police. Well, I can understand that, okay, probably not the smartest. It's a mistake, maybe. But it's not like he killed somebody. He's putting the information out there. It's not like he's hiding the video. He's got the video. He's showing it. And he cooperated with the police. They said, well, it took a couple days to get it. Maybe he got as busy. Just saying, you're going to want to charge somebody. That was a big part of that case that I didn't understand. And this is how quickly you can become a suspect in these things. That's why, 22 years of policing, you get a lawyer when you need to go talk to police. Not that it's, not that you're trying to muck up the system, but I could give two damns if a murder is solved, and then they make me the suspect. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to get a lawyer. Even though I know I didn't do it. No. Because police, and you being one, what's the first line say in the Miranda warning? You have the right to remain silent. Everything you say can, and will. That means it is an action word. They are going to use it against you. And that's what police are looking to do when they talk to you. They're looking to use stuff against you. So they're looking for you to change your story, and maybe you do change your story a little bit, but they can make it seem huge. You can change your story. Oh, I just forgot that part. Again, how they define it can be, your life. So F these people about, I really want to solve your murder, but no, I'm looking after me. I got one life, and it ain't gonna be spent in prison, So always get a lawyer and never talk to the police voluntarily, ever. Because they got a job to do, and that's to find the suspect, and that's why you're there usually. So, but be as nice as you can be respectful, and go get your lawyer, right? And he'll tell you shut the hell up. I digress a little bit, but that's important to know, right? There's a case, look it up, and I might go over this one at some other time. But you look into, a lot of people don't think that you can be, and when I was a police officer, I didn't think you could be, convicted, wrongfully, right? I was like, oh, they probably did something. Or if they didn't do that, they did something else. That was my justification. It's wrong. No, the Norfolk 4 case, 4 guys get charged for the rape and murder of, rape and murder of a young lady in an apartment. And it was done by a guy who had done a prior one, 2 weeks prior, in the same area. And, but after that, after the police come, officers trying to do a good job, and they're like, hey, asking witnesses, do you know anybody that, that might fit this profile of doing this? They're just throwing something at the wall right in the beginning. They're brainstorming. And one girl says, she points kind of secretly, that apartment there next to her, the guy's weird. And he was autistic. He was socially, and that's what, no trouble, but that's what gets him hemmed up. And I know I'm digressing a lot, but this is for you guys to know is, he went down, and his family's going to dinner, and they said, yeah, go talk to him. And they said, yeah, they plan on go down to the police station and tell him he wasn't there, he doesn't know what happened, and obviously they're going to know, and he's going to come back. Because innocent people don't get charged, Well, what happens is, they said he left, he's supposed to return for dinner, and we waited 13 years, and he finally made it. He did 13 years in prison, and he's actually up for the death penalty. On that case, and they actually got, the guy actually confessed, actually did it. Those guys still were not pardoned totally. They were like, they call it conditional pardon. I mean, that's, I don't even want to get into like the legal system, and when you are put into the criminal court system, you're an uphill battle. Even though, let's say you get convicted, but you didn't do it. Like, appeals, they're hard to win. Anyway, that's just, I'm gonna leave that there. That's way digressing. Anyway, let's get back into this Crystal and Steven McDougall case. So again, Baytown, okay, they're married 10 years, have 2 kids, okay, 8 and 5. At the time it's solved. The dad gets 50 years. He ends up finally confessing, and they were getting very, and this actually goes to what I was just talking about. They're actually getting very frustrated with the guy because he kind of was smart enough to know they didn't have enough. They had circumstantial evidence, but he admits to doing it. She comes home from that new boyfriend's house, and he's rich, but he's also jacked. Like I tell y'all, get jacked. He's the alpha bang now, and Steve McDougall, what we'd say, he's number 2, and that means he's number 0, not his rating as a human, just in this case, in her eyes, right? So, what does that mean? He's not respected. When he's not respected, he's not loved. When a woman doesn't love you and respect you, you're no longer her security. You no longer mean, much to her, and she's going to ruthlessly deal with you, and rightfully so, because that's the way they are. That's the way they were designed. Just like we're designed in a certain way that women might not like. A lot of people, like myself, don't like it when they see lions, catching the prey. It looks terrible. You go javelin. But like, if the lion don't catch it, the lion die. But in your mind, you're like, oh God, look at him, he's killing that thing. That's a lion doing lion things. Well, a woman, being ruthless and ice cold on you and taking all your stuff, that's what they do. You're the javelin. Anyway, I'm just playing around a little bit, but that is what they do. That's what you got to know. Javelins know that lions eat them, and so they got to run fast. They probably hate it too. We could all sit there and go, well, women take half our stuff, and they take our kids, and they ruin our reputation. What if the javelin were doing that while he's running? The lions eat us, and and I hate running, and now you're gonna be a MGTOW. I'm not running from these lions no more. Well, that's kind of what these stupid modern women guys. Modern women. I'm not dating these girls. No. Yeah, they're getting eaten by the lion. Hey, Chad and Tyrone. Anyway, I'm digressing a lot, but I'm putting good information out there, so it's good. So anyway, yeah. So he finally, that what they, and I didn't agree with this either. What the police did, and I can be critical. If they have more information and want to correct me, that's fine. But 22 years of doing it, they end up taking Steve McDougall's kids. They still don't have enough for a murder charge. They might have enough for a charge, but definitely not a conviction at this point. They needed his confession, okay? And that tells you right there, gentlemen and ladies, they needed his confession. If he would have shut his mouth, he probably wouldn't be in jail right now. So that's how powerful it is. Now, am I saying that I morally like that? No, we need murderers that go to jail, and they need to serve justice or whatever and be taken out of society, right? So they don't hurt anyone else, right? Or they're they rehabilitated, whatever it is. Jail's also a rehabilitation, punishment, and removed from society, protection, right? But but I can tell you, I don't give 2 F's. I'm Machiavellian on that. I mean, I don't have the right not to speak, and if you ain't got enough to, make the case on me, if I'm not speaking, then I'll be enjoying my life, in the Bahamas, while y'all try to figure it out, because I ain't telling you. You figure it out. Like, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just being, we're doing a thought experiment right there, right? We're not, not condoning anything. We're not trying to draw moral equivalence or take a moral high ground either. 4th largest city in the world, that's Houston Fire Department. I play with their soccer team. Those guys are awesome. Hey, boys, they're heroes. And the soccer team guys, they're super badass guys, man. They're warriors, bro. Warriors. Firemen are awesome. And yeah, police too, but obviously. Anyway, so again, digressing, but again, I'm giving good information. So now he's given a confession, but they took his kids to put pressure on him because he's lost his wife that he killed, and he feels very bad about that. I know, But what he did, he choked her after she came home from her boyfriend's house, you know, at 7 in the morning. He knew, and she had put a Facebook post 2 days before that saying she was happy as ever, which means that, you know, that new alpha bang was laying it down good. Good. So the new boyfriend at that time, way to go. Ladies might want to look at that guy. He's no, I'm kidding. But anyway, so not bad, drop my phone. But anyway, sorry about that. Sorry YouTube, and drop my phone. Anyway, so yeah, so that once he felt the pressure, you know, they said, hey, go get your affairs in order. And, you know, he said, after, you know, it's been months, he wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping. I mean, he, you know, feeling the effects, man. He had stress. And so, yeah, he finally confessed. So he choked her when she got home that morning. Now, his defense tried to put on that it was a hug, spontaneous hug and choke. Like, he was hugging her. Said, hey, welcome home. I mean, this is their case, which they had to do it because your lawyer's trying to help you after you already spilled the beans, right? That's why your lawyer doesn't want you to talk, because he can work out a good defense because he knows the law. Not saying he's finagling anything, he just knows the law, and like, this is why you're not guilty, and I can explain it because you haven't said anything yet, right? But if you say something, you pinned yourself into a corner, like this guy said, I choked her. You know? Well, now his defense is like, well, was your choke a hug, and then you kind of, you know, got mad suddenly, like sudden passion, right? That's what it was. So again, not a bad strategy, but it didn't work. So no, he was pissed that he had, you know, he was a beta male, and you know, say kill the beta or the beta will kill you. Oh yeah, 100%. Everybody know that, and that saying is good because what it means is kill the beta inside you, so you don't die from the weakness that you have. But also watch out for the other weakness around you, because they will take you out too. So kill the beta before the beta kills you. So kill that inside you and watch out for those betas around you. Beta males are extremely dangerous. And what do? They're indirect, they're gossipers, they are mate poachers, they are simpers, they simp, just stuff like that. And nice guys, you know, they change their positions all the time, wherever the wind goes. Anyway, so one thing that they did talk about in the case, and this is what I knew. So if you, this is I think a Rolo, it's a manosphere thing, is if you treat your wife like a celebrity, she'll treat you like a fan. And that's what this Steven McDougall guy did. He basically said he like idolized her. You can't do that. When women don't want to be idolized by a man, nah, they want to idolize the man, right? You know, and not all, right? But he would, if you need a back rub, he'd give her a back rub. If you need a foot rub, she'd give her a foot rub. And what I say, gentlemen, is those aren't the things that attract women. They like it. Oh, thanks for the massage. And they're going to say, hey, he's so nice. But they much rather the guy, and this has happened to me before. I don't know, I've talked about it before in another video, but I was playing soccer one day, and this guy, he was, you know how they, I'll use an equivalent of baseball because some guys don't play soccer, but this guy was hitting me when the ref wasn't looking, and I'd run out of the field to like piss me off, and it's illegal, right? It's a foul, but you know, it's away from the ref's not seeing it. So I was like, this jerk, because he knew I was better than him. Seriously, he did. So I was like, dude, I was pissed, and so to get him to stop, I got to come back at him, right? So I saw my opportunity. The goalie kicks the ball out, punts it out, right? It's in the air. He's looking at it, I'm looking at it, and I'm gonna make it look like I'm gonna go for it. Sorry, Jesus, I am confessing. I sinned, but I'm gonna make it look like I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna freaking nail this guy, like but not to hurt him, just kind of boom, go through him, right? And I did. And he goes flying off the field, you know, and the girl I was dating at the time was standing right there. She had to kind of move out of the way. She's like, and I felt bad. And you know, it was close to halftime. I come off the field, and she's like, she was a nice, like, church girl. She's like, oh my God. I said, what? What's up? You know, she's like, I said, what's wrong? It's like, nothing. What you did, you nailed that guy. That was so hot. Oh my God. I learned then, this was like 10 years ago, something like that, violence, women, if you can get violent, that shows like them, it's survival. Like when the big bad wolf come a calling, oh, daddy gonna get after it. So women, you know, like I said, you can raise their kids, you can raise their stepkids, you know, you can raise their dog that has 3 legs, and you know, you're using your hand as the 4th one, you know, and look at me, look at him all day, he's by that dog like a 3-legged race, you know, and you think, you know, you're judging that at 100 bonus points because I'm, you know, taking care of her little wounded dog here, and she's giving you 0 or half point. You know, you got to understand what her point value is, right? raising her kids or adopting kids that, she wants to adopt because, she, or, taking care of her freaking farm animals, whatever it is, man. Doing her laundry, those are all nice things. But none of those get her vagina, lubricated at all. You want to do things that get her vagina lubricated, and, you want to figure those out. There's books out there that tell you what those are, Get you a 5 o'clock shadow. Get in shape. Have low body fat. Makes your face look better. You make sure your hair, go look at some of those haircut videos on TikTok. Make sure your hair is good. Get you outside in the sun. Get the tan. Also get you some vitamin D, because the sun has vitamin D. Eat good. Your skin, how you smell, all that matters, right? If you're over 35, go get your testosterone checked. Maybe you need TRT. That makes you guys look a lot better. It also gives them more drive to work out. Also gives them more drive to have sex. Also gives them better erections. Also makes their moods better because, the whole life's getting better, right? It's not a wonder drug, but go see if that's right for you. Go talk to your doctor, right? Those are the things you got to do if you want to be dating out here. That's why it's so lame when some of these guys are like, I just do a prostitute, because that's all this is. They just want... No, for the simps, that's all this is. But for the guys who are going and getting their T levels checked, and now they had to make an extra appointment. Now they got to go every week to get there. I do. Now they got to go every week to get that done. And it's a pain in the butt, but it's bettering their body. It's they're able to work out better, right? They're having to figure this stuff out. They're having to work, instead of sit there and complain, while you spend how much money for a lady that doesn't even like you. Go figure out how to get, a lady to like you. Now you instead of doing a Santa Claus beard, you got a 5 o'clock shadow. Women like that better, right? You're starting to do your hair. You don't have a mop on your head, or you're not doing the comb over, you're starting to shave that. So you're looking bald. You look like a biker now, whatever for your facial type, you don't look good with a goatee. All this matters. That's why, starting to put skin lotion on, taking a shower every day, I got to get my whole mouth redone, and my mouth looks like crap right now. But I'm going to go to Mexico and get that done this year. So get my whole mouth redone, and but I could just not do it and not get girls, because they don't like it. Trust me, I know. I've been trying to date, and they don't like it. 100%, right? And rightfully so. They shouldn't. I'm not, no shade on them, right? I wouldn't either. Let's keep going. So I'm gonna finish this case up, but this is banging information. By the way, I saw just Pearly things. I like her stuff, but either she's watching my stuff or someone's telling her stuff, because she just said everything I said on my videos today, on one of her things. She said, beta males aren't wanted. She's saying that the 6'6", 6 foot, 6-figure income, 6-inch, D is, those aren't important. Women will date broke guys. Have I not been saying this? She said it today. I've been saying this. She said, girls date broke guys, guys without cars. Go look at my videos. I've already said all that. She must have been watching my videos. But, I'm not saying it's, it's out there, but, she never started saying it before today. She said similar, but anyway, I was like, told a friend of mine, I said, look at that. She's like, yeah, that's just what you say. And by the way, I'll give you this gem too. This is not just, we're talking about the criminal case. I know I'm digressing, but this is gems of information. This is what this video is going to be too. But I was carrying a big bag. It's a soccer bag I have. It's actually a hockey bag, but I put balls in it, right? And I'm walking across the field, and this friend of mine, she apparently got a picture of me, or a video of me, and I was like, oh, that's a cool video. When'd you do that? And she kind of told me when it was. And I was like, oh, thanks. It looks, and she'd been talking about all week how good I looked, walking. And I agreed, for whatever reason, it's just something, I liked the video. I'm just carrying a bag across the field, right? And she's like, I so like that video, But so I'm saying, get a rucksack, guys. Maybe get someone to take a picture. You walking around, and we kind of had some theories about it. It shows you doing work, shows you strong, shows you getting after it, But there was something sexual about that picture, and I agreed with it. I was like, yeah, I see it. She said she really attracted her. So, again, put on one of your profiles. You rucking out there, in a nice, form-fitting shirt, and where it shows your muscles off and stuff like that. If we want to just put this on modern women or 304s, well, hey, Dad bod, what's up? Are you in the best shape of your life? Hey, Dad bod, have you talked to any girls lately? Approached girls, try to get get into a sexual conversation with her? Like, do you know how that dynamic works? Do you know about, do you know about dual mating strategy? I mean, have you learned any? That's my point is, have you prepared yourself for the environment you're in? Most guys, it's kind of a la Rolls Mossy, but most guys want to think, myself included, but I've had success. Most guys want to think they are the best at getting girls because for some reason it's innate in us to think we're good. We know how to get girls. I don't know why, or it's like a flex, like girls saying they're virgins, right? It's just they want to be pure, but guys want to act like they know how to get women because it's frowned upon if you can't, right? So anyway, again, digressing. So anyway, what we've learned with this case today, and they show in this case what I told you, like, oh, when you care for her animals, do chores for her, she'll like that, but she won't get her vagina lubricated for you. There's a part in it where he's taking her skydiving, and it's kind of weird because you see him alive, right? And she looked, she was a venture girl, and in very good shape, very pretty. But, it was 5 years prior to the murder, but they're having a good time. But I was thinking of the video, I'm like, he was looking kind of goofy, like smiling, and, didn't look very confident. They didn't look like that, just that, it looked like he used goofiness and clowning to, kind of break the ice with people. And you can do that, and that, but it's not effective in my opinion. And I said this the other day to somebody, I said, if that's that goofiness and being funny and sense of humor and all that intelligence, right, that women like that, right? They say that on TikTok. But if a woman describes you after seeing you and talking to you, right, and she tells her friend, I met this guy at the park and he was so goofy. I really liked him. He was goofy. He had goofiness. Now I can see that. Maybe she likes a little goofy guy that can, but okay, all right, now let's second guy. I just met this guy at the park and do the same thing. He was really funny. I like that sense of humor he had. We were laughing. And this is actually true. After a date, and me and the girl who we had kissed, she was really pretty. And I wanted to go further, I did. But I kind of knew I was screwed. I wasn't sure, but I kind of knew, but I was hoping I was wrong. She said, I laughed more on this date than I ever have. And I was like, fuck. I was like, she thinks I'm Mr. Funny Man. Like, she was kind of giving me, she didn't say, my vajayjay is so, my pants are so soaked, because, she didn't say that, so, third guy, we're going to the park, right, and he said, now it's you, right, whatever. I just met this guy at the park. Oh my God, he was so freaking hot. No, he wasn't goofy, no, he wasn't funny. What about that funny goofy? Now this guy, which guy do you want to be described as? So all these looks don't matter, does it? Looks, you want to be the hot guy. Now behavior matters too, you can't just be hot with this, frowny face and, Mike Tyson voice and Mike Tyson badass. I'm not trying to do Mike Tyson, I'm not going after you, but, if you're like, all jacked and, hey, how you doing? I mean, I'm tired. Hey, nah, it's not, congruency, right? So, but what we learned in that case was, number one was Steve McDougall, he idolized his wife, you can't do that. He simped, he also, was in scarcity mindset. If I can't have her, nobody will. But dude, there'll be somebody else, right? There'll be somebody else. You can't be. They said in the show that he didn't mind being average. She wanted to be a go-getter. She was a realtor. She was a flight attendant. She liked to go on adventures, travel, and she did the skydiving, right? And she wanted to push the limits. And some ladies are like that. You can't be Mr. Average Guy. If you got a lady like that, you're probably gonna need to be, and it's not all women. That's not really most women, but. You're gonna need to be an adventure guy yourself, right? You got to know what game you're in, and that was the game he was in, and so, and he was, and this is something that beta males will do. I've seen this many times. Is in these criminal cases is that they can't control through who they are as their presence, right? They're not respected, they're not loved, and when that kind of that disrespect and that unwillingness to do things and that unfaithfulness to do anything they want them to do, they're lying, cheating, and they're being unwilling to, and that's expected, right? And it's probably the right way to go about things as far as if I was a woman, right? Because I want to get away from this guy. When you cannot control that. I've said before, women are going to do what they want to do. Well, what's he try to do? And men do. This is a weak. If women, if you see this, run. It ain't your. They say, I'm going to self-delete. If you leave, I'm going to self-delete. And now that puts the emotional blackmail on the woman, because now he's trying to control her through harming himself. And that is no way to go. That is the weakest way. It's so weak. It seems kind of like, oh, he's hardcore. No, he's weak. And normally, we're not going to, we're going to treat everything as real. But my time as a police officer, I've seen that a lot. 9 times out of 10, it's nothing, right? But treat it as real. We don't want anyone losing their life over that. You get them help, and, make sure they're, someone, a loved one knows what just happened. But he also threatened at one time when she filed for divorce, and one of his last-ditch efforts was to say he was going to harm himself and the kids. That was his, that was his only leverage. If that's your only leverage, guys, we don't, not everybody knows what attracts a woman, but I think we do know that, harming your kids and harming yourself, and that's the way you got her back, and then you're going to try to turn your wife on. Like, she's disgusted by you at that point. She knows you're weak. She knows that ploy, right? And let me explain it like this. She knows what you just did. She knows you had no leverage, right? She knows you were trying to control her through emotional blackmail. But she now has to put on a strategy of, yeah, he's probably full of it. And I know what he's doing. He's weak as hell, and I hate him. And I'm disgusted by him. But I don't want my kids harmed. And I get it. Like, I don't want... So what I'm going to do is I'm going to acquiesce. She's now obligated compliance because you've taken it to that level. But she hates you now. She's fully disgusted by you, because you didn't use who you were, your presence as a person, to win her over. You emotionally blackmailed. And women are not going... She's gonna eventually clown... When all dust settles, she's going to clown you. She's going to make sure you pay for what you just did, and that's usually, sexual affairs, being dishonest, being unwilling, being unfaithful. And you totally brought that on yourself. So this whole, ladies, when you hear that, run. That's a beta male, it's a weak man, and you are in danger. Because he might not do it to himself, he might do it to you. So get out of that relationship. There's no way to control a woman. You can't. I said this, guys. So yeah. And it's just one of those things, this is what this guy did. He had no, and I'll say, and he didn't move out of the house. He didn't move out of the marital home. I mean, when you're seeing this, ladies, this is a guy that can't let go. That is abnormal. This is not the last woman on earth. I mean, it's just not like, and you don't need to be doing 50 years in a prison. Now you got prison gangs, the dangers of prison, you're living that life now and you have no freedom, and all because you thought this was the only girl for, come on, guys, come on. Like, what, I can't even make that right. I don't even get where these guys are going with it. I understand being very emotional because I've been there, but you gotta breathe a little bit. Go, yeah, not. I might want to do something, but yeah, nope. The outcomes are all bad. So, but yeah, I mean, that's this guy, So yeah, he said he choked her. They said, well, then he said put her in bags. You know what that means? If you have several bags, what a loser. What a loser. They ended up charging him. He ended up getting, oh, by the way, one last thing. They did polygraphs. I want to get on polygraphs on this one. They did polygraphs. And like I said, I wasn't impressed with Chambers County. I could be wrong. 48 hours may have put him in a bad light, But what I saw, so they said they gave this one guy a polygraph. It was the suspect. And then they gave the new boyfriend a polygraph. And they said the suspect failed, which you can't fail those things. They're not, they're bullshit science. They're not even admissible in court. What they're used to do, by the way, guys, is they're used to scare you into saying what the truth is. So that's what they're doing. That's if you. I mean, I don't want to put but with the government, I did 2 of them with the government. I did one with the DEA. I was applying with them, and I did well with the DEA. I just decided not to go, but Drug Enforcement Administration. But it was hell being a polygraph with them. But what they're doing is they interview you before, and then they start asking you questions, and they're trying to get you to, to out the truth. They know you got some lies you telling, And so they're trying to use that stupid machine they got you hooked up to, but it's totally not been reliable enough to be validated at all. So this guy saying that anyone failed is like saying I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that just doesn't work. It failed. Well, yeah. Maybe a temperature gauge failed to tell us what the humidity was. Well, it's a temperature gauge. It's gonna fail. And then they said the boyfriend, and the guy was acted all tough. Like I was a cop. I know we got attitudes a little bit, but their egos are. He's like, you ask him what he did. Ask him how he did. Well, bro, we don't, because he took a polygraph, which there are no results other than your squiggly lines. That you have no admissibility. I could have said whatever I wanted, and you can't enforce anything on that. It's not admissible in court, so I can't fail it. He said he failed. He failed it. The new boyfriend. He didn't. They were trying to scare him into maybe saying he did it. So anyway, that's it. That's the polygraphs. Do not believe those things and whatever. And get a lawyer, so your lawyer will tell you don't take it, whatever. So anyway, and finally, I want to say in that case, and this is very, it was touching to me, and they had 2 kids. They now have a dad in prison. They've lost their father from the free world, and their mother had passed, and it's in heaven, I believe. And the tragic victims are the kids. And they were 8 and 5. The older one was a son, and the younger one's a daughter. And her sister, the victim's sister, Crystal's sister, had to tell him, But let me tell you something. Let me tell you, kind of put a little feather in this thing. Is she told the 8-year-old and 5-year-old they're holding hands, and she said, "Mommy's in heaven." And the 5-year-old hugs his sister. I'm sorry, the 8-year-old hugs his sister. The boy hugs his sister. He says, "Okay, I can deal with that." He's 8-year-old. I can't. He says, "And I got you. I'm gonna take care of you, Maui." Her name is Maui. His name is Madden. I'm gonna take care of you, okay? The rest of your life. That's from kids. Like, oh, bro, like that's a warrior, bro. That's a warrior. He stepped up as a man. He loved the sister. There might have been some onions in the room at that time, man. I was like, whoa. But I say that not to be Mr. I want to create some. No, that's what's at stake here, guys. You don't understand this stuff. That 8-year-old is going to have to take over. That's not, no, we don't know. That's not a world that I want to live in. No. That's what happens. Understand relationships. Read those books I told you. 48 Laws of Power, Evolution of Desire, Atomic Attraction is another good one. Why Women Have Sex, Practical Female Psychology. There's so many. Crucial Conversations, how to have conversations. There's one it's like Crucial Leading or something, I can't remember, but Crucial Accountability, how to take accountability, and there's so many, Ape That Understood the Universe, Sapiens, 36 Strategies of War, Art of Seduction, Mastery. These are books that help you navigate the world you're in, and I'm gonna do a deal on Malcolm X and the Red Pill. No one's done it. Now someone's gonna listen to my stuff, but I read the autobiography of the Malcolm X, and it's an amazing book. But a lot of people want to say, well, we should go back to the 50s. We're going to go back to the 50s, and we should go back to the 50s where women were at home and everything was great, and and the married men got sex all the time. And let me tell you something. Malcolm X they call him a stir. Some people say he was a pimp and whatever, and we're not going to get into all the what's those, we call them conspiracy theories, and whether someone's, likes the same sex. Dude, I don't care. But what he says in his book is, he used to men from the suburbs who were in sexless marriages because of why he says in the book, because the wives did not respect their men and did not place importance on giving their men sex or whatever, and so they would come to Harlem, and they would they called it rush hour. Monday mornings it would start, and it would end Friday mornings. So Red Pill did not start recently. And back to the 50s, this stuff has been going on with women Malcolm X is you know, and this is a gem of information. Malcolm X said he learned more from the prostitutes he hung around about women than he learned about any girl he dated. And by the way, Malcolm X dated a white girl who was married to a beta male provider in the suburbs, because at that time, the white girls, for whatever reason, you know, good, bad, or indifferent, they were being bad. They were being bad. You know, and that's just, you know, whatever. But, you know, and the black guys, you know, they were, you know, Malcolm X said he'd like to have that status, you know, dating a white girl, you know. So it's an awesome book. And what I learned about Malcolm X in that book is it's just, we'll go into that later. But I'm going to do Malcolm X and how he applies to the red pill. But anyway, I think that's all I'm going to do on this one, because, you know, I've been going a little bit, but this is a gem of information. You listen to this video several times. I know I was talking a little fast. I was tired tonight because I had that playoff game, you know, and been working out a lot. But yeah, so, you know, you don't live in scarcity mindset. You know, that woman is not the last woman on the earth. Do not give up on modern women. Modern women, figure out the game. You know, figure out how you're gonna strategize your own, because everybody needs to strategize their stuff different. I'm 5'7", you know, I can't use tall man game. I gotta, you know, make sure I stay in shape, and, you know, because I'm already a deficit. 5'7", dude, it's a deficit, you know. And if you're fat, you need to get skinny. That's a deficit. Like, we all got deficits, you know. Every one of us. My teeth, I gotta get fixed. That's a deficit. You know, we should be loved for who we no. And this is, you know, I have a female friend. I'm gonna end with this. I have a female friend. And this guy, they met her on a dating site. And she goes, and she didn't know he had disabilities. And apparently he had developed like tics and tremors. Nothing wrong with that. That man had just as much human rights as anybody. But then he had like he had a hip thing, and something, there was like, he was having eye problem. Anyway, point is, he was not doing too well. So she knocks on the door. She didn't know any of this. And he has a note. And it's all written about what his condition is. And she can leave, and it was all like simply like, you know, you don't gotta stay, and I'm sorry I didn't say it, but people don't meet me if I tell. Well, yeah, they don't, because you seem sick. So that guy's not gonna be able to get girls very easy. You know, it doesn't mean he's done, but my point is that, yeah, it sucks. Not everybody's gonna get a girl, you know, but, you know, the ones that give a damn and learn the game, they're gonna get a girl. And I want to live that life. I love women. I am not living life without a woman in my life. You know, you little MGTOWs and you little all there I have a prostitute, y'all weak. Y'all don't want to figure out what your problem is. Y'all don't want to figure out how to improve yourself. You know? Anyway, I think that's all on this one. Talk to you later.